Well, it's almost the end of the year, and if 2023 is as bad as the last few years, then we better know what we're getting into. So what's going to happen in 2023? This video will cover the events that are scheduled to happen next year and make some predictions too. I'm planning to cover these major events as they happen, so make sure to subscribe. Okay, how about America? On January 3rd, the 118th United States Congress will convene, with Republicans holding 222 seats in the House after a historically embarrassing midterm victory. Meanwhile, Democrats will increase their seats to 51, so they'll get majority control of the various committees, and Kamala Harris will no longer have to break ties and won't have an excuse to be in DC. Now, just a few weeks ago, nationally reviled Arizona Senator Kyrsten Sinema announced she would no longer identify as a Democrat, then quietly added after that she still caucused with them, so it actually doesn't really make a difference.
Just kidding.
Chuck Schumer will continue as Senate Majority Leader, and despite their best efforts, Republicans will have to choose the next Speaker of the House. At the front of the line is House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy, who is Trumpy, but not really Trumpy enough for the right-wing firebrands in his party. He'll probably have to make some juicy concessions if he wants to get the gavel. With Congress again split in half, we can expect American politics to continue as usual, which is to say no major legislation except for the worst kind. Meanwhile, the House will fan the flames of scandals like Hunter Biden's laptop and America getting kicked out of Afghanistan with its tail between its legs. Continuing the tail dog metaphor, President Biden will perform the favorite trick of every president since Adams and refocus American attention away from growing inflation by drone bombing random guys and all their children in Yemen, Somalia, Afghanistan, and Iraq. While Republicans don't have control of the legislature or the executive, they've got the branch that actually matters, the judicial. In 2023, the Supreme Court will decide Moore v. Harper whether state legislatures are inexplicably completely autonomous when it comes to elections, with Republicans probably getting crushed even with their court majority. But Republicans have the decisions for Students for Fair Admission versus Harvard to look forward to, which I predict will probably strike down most forms of race-based affirmative action. So how about the movies? Well, we're gonna get Ant-Man 3, then Shazam 2, John Wick 4, Chris Pratt 3, Spider-Man 7, Transformers 7, Indiana Jones 5, Mission Impossible 7, and Oppenheimer, which definitely won't have sound mixing issues. Meanwhile, America's biggest narcissists will launch their presidential campaigns for an election nearly 2 years away. Ex-President Trump's already done this, alongside launching these NFT trading card kind of things, but he'll probably be joined by a rogues gallery of Human Toaster Mike Pence, Human Bathtub Mike Pompeo, and this Clayface guy. We'll have to wait until 2024 to see who comes second to Trump. Okay, that's enough about America. What about the rest of the world? Well, the number 2 world democracy will be coronating its new king in May, so major spoilers for Season 8 of The Crown. I wonder who they'll cast as Prince Andrew. Meanwhile, Croatia will adopt the euro, and in all probability, Sweden and Finland will join NATO. Ukraine will likely continue to push back Russia inch by inch, but I don't see any major ceasefire coming or the miraculous death of Vladimir Putin by lightning strike. This war is not going anywhere. How about Latin America? Well, Brazil will get a new left-wing president, Luiz da Silva, unless he's arrested again by his teenager in the body of a man opponent, Bolsonaro. In October, Argentina will hold a presidential election, which incumbent Alberto Fernandez is definitely going to lose, especially with his VP Cristina Fernandez de Kirchner convicted of corruption and said to be incarcerated. Watch out for Javier Milei, a right-wing populist who gives away his legislators' wages. Democracy will probably erode further in each Central American country. On the economy front, don't expect Bukele's Bitcoin plot to bring any big bucks. Let's look to Africa next, which doesn't look much better. Nigeria will hold a presidential election with businessman turned politician Peter Obi currently polling in first place, especially among Nigerians under 30 who say he's their only hope. Both Sudan and Libya say they'll make steps towards democracy, but a quick look at who's supposed to be running for office should make you second guess that. Pope Francis is set to visit the DRC in South Sudan unless he retires first to avoid making the trip. Meanwhile, the Somali government will continue its war against Islamists, and the Central African Republic will continue its war against itself. Russia's invasion of Ukraine has reduced worldwide food supplies, so the risk of famine next year in Africa is especially large. Speaking of countries with Islamist insurgencies and the risk of famine, Yemen will continue being a playground for the Saudis, Emiratis, and the Iranians. Despite getting a new government, Iraq's political crisis will definitely continue, with the pro-Iranian Sadrists aiming to claw back some power after performing the brilliant trick of resigning all their parliament seats back in June. Turkey will hold elections, with President Erdogan facing down his greatest nemesis, himself. That is, his policies, which have brought about 80% inflation and 10% unemployment. I'd probably bet on Erdogan winning though, since he has control of the army. To the east, Pakistan will hold an election, but it's too soon to say who will face down PM Shehbaz Sharif, the Jeb Bush of Pakistan. This past year, cricketer slash playboy turned Prime Minister Imran Khan was kicked out of power, disqualified from holding office for 5 years because of corruption, and then shot in the foot. He's appealing the decision to the Supreme Court about the disqualification, not the assassination attempt, but they've ruled against him before. I think the best bet is that Sharif, despite his poor numbers, will win. 2023 will be a big year for India, who will surpass China to become the most populous country in the world, and it's also going to host the Cricket World Cup and the G20 Summit in New Delhi. India, though, is going to have to make tough choices about whether or not it wants to sit at Russia's table or the US's table, and it's probably going to choose the latter as a better ally against China. So don't expect Putin to go to New Delhi in person. And how about China? Well, just a few weeks ago, China loosened its quarantine until starvation COVID policy, and as a result, rumors have it that cases are skyrocketing. With the Sinopharm vaccine proved to be kind of passable at best, Xi Jinping is set to face his greatest crisis yet come January. So that's gonna be 2023. Some parts better, some parts worse, no parts boring. Comment your own predictions below, and if you like this video, don't forget to like and subscribe.